What up, Suspendees? It's Ben from Suspendee Studios here, and I'm glad to be back. I took a little bit of a break in between filming lectures, and now it's time to get into business. Let's go ahead and let's start out. Now, it's kind of obvious. We are going to have an environment, and these art assets should be provided to you. There probably is like a project file or some kind of art file that I give to you beforehand. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to import it. Now let's go ahead, we're going to create a sprite object, and we're going to go into images, and we're going to want to do import strip image. Now personally, I don't like doing import strip image because because you kind of have to eyeball stuff. You kind of have to assume stuff, and that's just something I don't really like, having to make assumptions. Now, if we go ahead, we're going to do 4, and you can see over here, we're going to have to do a little bit of estimation. So you can see over here, we're going to have to estimate the height of these. Now we can say it's 32, 16, there's 4 frames per row, and there we go. And if we need to, we can set up the offset by holding left click. Like we can set it here too. But that's pretty much the point. So this is just us watching this guy go down. You can see here, it's simple. Let's go ahead and let's finally create our tile map. I know I said we created earlier, but that's what import strip images are for. But if you want to import a single image, click on import image, you go to your folder, and we'll go ahead and we'll do overworld, and we're just going to click on resize canvas to import an image size. And there we go. We got this nice and beautiful tile map. We can throw these all around. We can crop stuff out, and we can make whatever we want. But let's go ahead and let's go into rooms. You can see over here it's a room, but we're just gonna do room world. I'm gonna make this 9,600, 6,400. 960 by 640 is 16 by 9, by the way. We'll go ahead and we'll create a simple player object. We're gonna have to create a folder filled with all the animations. So by default, we're just gonna make the player do SPR player underscore down. Go to world, throw in object. It's pretty small, but we'll zoom in on them. We'll go into viewports, cameras, and we'll go ahead and we'll do this right here. We're going to enable views, or let's actually, if you want to do this the easy way, click on enable viewports and click on visible, and then you can set it up however you want here. But I kind of want to do it via code because it's kind of good to get into the hang of it, just in case you want to do a zoom in, zoom out function. So we're going to do obj camera. We're going to create that object obj camera, and we're going to have the view fall around that little camera, because we could do some cool stuff with that camera. If we ever want any cutscenes later on, we can go ahead and we can use that, and we can throw that into other rooms if we decide to have rooms without the player. So we'll go ahead, we'll go into create, we'll do view enabled equals true, because we're enabling view set visible, and we of course want to use the first view, and we want to set the first view to visible equals true. Next thing we want to do, we want to set the view for the or set the camera for the view. Now the view is what we see. The camera the camera holds the information on what we're going to see. So we're going to do camera equals camera underscore create, and we're going to want to create a view. And we're going to go into here, room X. You can just ignore this, but you might need this later on, depending, because, I do have this really cool camera trick. Width 960, height 640. Actually, we'll go ahead and we'll do 480 by 320, angle 0, object, ID, or you can do obj underscore camera. But, you want to have, this is going to be the object, this is going to be the object that the camera follows. Sorry about that. X speed, we'll go ahead with 5, Y speed 5, border. Actually, X speed, Y speed, 480 by 320. Exporter, we'll just set that to 480 and 320. And you know, if we do go into the help section, I don't exactly pay attention to all of these, you know, little things. Well, they're not little things, but if we go into camera, create view, exporters, a minimum horizontal space. Now you may notice, for example, or you may notice that whenever somebody reaches the edge of the screen, so let's just say, for example, you know, we're at the edge of this screen. Well, if we want the view to always move along with the player, or if we want the player to always be in center with the view, that's what you would want to do. And I can't really explain it, but I'll have a really good example of this. Let's go ahead and let's, you know, finally do this. Now, it's 480 by 320, so it's always going to follow the player. ID, it's all set. And view, set, camera, and we're going to set the view, and we're going to throw in camera. Now later on you may want to do camera destroy, you know, because cameras are created in the memory. So we'll go ahead, we'll do camera destroy, and we'll throw that in cleanup. And I believe that's for when the object is destroyed, so that'll be useful. And we'll go ahead, we'll throw in the OBJ camera in here. And let's finally go ahead and create the tile set. I really procrastinated here. I procrastinate a lot, guys, but I bet most of you watching this procrastinate too. It's a bad habit, but we kind of had to get this camera thing in and create this world. We'll do tile world underscore world, and we want to choose the sprite. And you can see over here, it's already checked it off. But if, for example, you had slightly bigger sprites, if they were 32 by 32 pixels, you would do that. Now, something that I do find really weird is that it never chooses the first sprite. And I don't know why it does that, but it always ignores the first sprite. Now, there might be some huge reason behind it. I'm not going to go into the time, or I'm not going to spend my time doing it, but they might have some explanation here in the, there might be some explanation here in the tile layer. Let's see here. Tile layer, tile map. Tile map. Okay. All right. You know, just check it out yourself. But just accept it the way it is. It's just gonna do that. But we'll go ahead. We'll leave that to itself. We'll go into RM world, and we're finally going to create our nice little tile layer. Now we're going to go click on here, and just remember how the ordering works. So tiles 1 goes under instances. So let's go ahead, and it asks us to put a tile set in, and we'll click on tile world. And this is kind of weird. It's supposed to have a brush thing on the right, but sometimes it doesn't. But usually there will be this room editor tab. It won't always tab into it, but sometimes it will. So now let's actually go into the tile editor, what we can do. We're going to go ahead and, you know, if you go ahead and and by the way, you can scroll in and out by holding on control and scrolling up and down. If you click on this and, you know, you click anywhere in the room, now this depends on the grid. Oh, this doesn't depend on the grid, but if you place these tiles in the room, you can see here, you know, it's doing what, you know, it looks like it's going to, you know, appear. And if we load up the game, it will appear. Now if we click on here and we go ahead and we run this game, there we go. So you know, we can see the tiles here. Now let's finally I'll show you how to create these tiles in bulk. Now if you hold down left click, you can select multiple ones of these, and this is really useful. And hold down control. This is really useful because, you know, you can pretty much, you know, you can create your own little brushes and stuff. But we'll go ahead. And another thing here, we can actually increase the size of rectangle R. So if we hold down R, we can do that. So there we go. We created something really big here, and we're gonna try. I did tell you. I promised you, and we're gonna unselect this, by the way. I promised you I would show off an example of this. Let's go ahead and let's do SBR player x plus equals 5. Now just remember, we are focusing on the camera, so we are going to want to set our x coordinates to objPlayer.x and the y coordinates to objPlayer.y, so we synchronize with it. But you're about to see my great example of what would happen. No, I'm not going to stop the. Oh, here we go. Oh, let's do this. 0.5, and if we go ahead and we center that, or if we set that to that, you can see here it moves. It's moving to the right, but you can see here it moves along with it. It doesn't have to hit like a border in order to do that. Now, if we go into OBJ camera, and just remember, the player is not the camera. The camera is just following the player, and the view is following that camera, and that's really weird. If we set the Y border or the X border to be 100, the camera would have to be like 100 pixels away from the view in order for it to move. Now, what you can see here, it always moved along with it, but we're 100 pixels away from the side of the view, and you can see here we're moving to the right whenever we do that. And you can see here, I'm not going to state which games do this, but there was an NES game that did this, and you had to go to like the very side of the room in order for enemies to spawn. Yeah, it was a huge flaw. So I strongly suggest you just center it on the player. But this applies towards the Y value. But yeah, that's pretty much it, and that's how you get started with the project.